And it was a beautiful day. We are real close. I'm thinking that next week we're going to close out this series. One more thing after the day. But I want a couple of more analogies I want to use. If Benita will come up here. And we're going to use a couple examples here because I so want you to get this. I think Rania will be able to help me. One of Rania's favorite, like most kids, their favorite meal is mac and cheese. Okay? So tell me how the mac and cheese you get. Tell me the process. How do you do your mac and cheese? Okay. So you have it in a cup, right? So you have a cup. You remove the lid. You put water in it, and then what do? And then you microwave it for how long? 3 minutes. And then what? Add cheese. Add, powdered cheese. What else? Then do you have to let it rest or anything? You let it cool down for a minute. Now, this is called cup mac and cheese, right? Now, how many of you eat this? Come on. It's okay. I'm not just okay. See, no one wants to admit to it. No one's going to admit. So let's take away cup mac and cheese and put ramen noodles. Same thing. Okay. Or we could go to canned ravioli. Oh, yeah. See. Okay. But see, there is a little process here. A little process. Now, that mac and cheese in that cup will sustain you. Okay. Now, we know that Benita is the queen of mac and cheese. Hang on. How much does this mac and cheese cost? $1. Y'all see where I'm going with this, don't you? Now let's go over here to. We're gonna start right here with Ma J's, and you can take notes, but you're allowed to keep certain things out but it doesn't matter if they know they can't cook. So, how much does it cost to make a pan of your mac and cheese? Hello? Are y'all with me for a moment? Are y'all? I know there's some dance people here. I could teach you to dance for about $1 a week. You get what you pay for. If you want a higher level of dance, you'd go to Heather and you'd go to the Burgal dance. Okay, you wouldn't come to me, but it would be more economical to come to me. Give me some ingredients. You don't have just your ingredients. I mean, if you.
It wouldn't matter if I did.
Heat. Now, do you put this in the oven or you microwave this? Okay. We have here 3 minutes. How about time, roughly?
45 minutes to an hour, roughly.
Okay.
I can tell you that. Top right.
Is that pretty well got it?
This includes mozzarella, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Most of it.
Do you see the difference? 80 to $100, $1. 3 minutes, 1 hour. I mean, there's nothing microwave versus oven. Time. Thank you. There is a process to life. There just there is a recipe to life. There is a recipe, whether you and I know this or not, there is a recipe for marriage. There's a recipe for friendship. There is a recipe for success. There is a recipe. Everything has a recipe, whether you know it or not. Now, let me tell you what I hear a lot of times, in a lot of different areas of life. People will say, I don't think all that's necessary. I hear it. You'd be surprised how many times I hear people say, well, I just don't think that's necessary. I don't think you have to do all that. That's your way. All those can be technically possibly true, but we're talking about this recipe and not this recipe. And with life, and it's the same way with being a, quote, Christian, believer, born again, whatever terminology you want to use. See, a lot of people say, it doesn't work for me. Do you know there is a recipe? There is a recipe for being a good Christian or an average Christian, or people say, I don't know if they are a Christian. Is this really mac and cheese? I mean, let's break this little recipe down and say, what does it cost you to be a Christian? Does it cost? Did you really pay anything? How much of you is a Christian? How much of you is really? Let me back up. I knew this person, and they were a believer, or they said they were a believer. And they said, I think there's good in all religions. And she said, what I basically do is what I think is good, I pick and choose the good things of all religions, and I apply that to my life. Well, I don't know what recipe. I like barbecue. I mean, barbecue seasoning. I like a lot of things. I wouldn't want barbecue in my mac and cheese. I would not want steak in my mac and cheese. I would not want Captain Crunch in my mac and cheese. I would not want peanut butter in my mac and cheese. there's a lot of good things, but you've got to realize it's good in of itself, but it may not work. It may not complement. And you have to realize, what is your faith worth? You know, you can package this. The church that you attend can package this to be awesome. But when you open it up, this is what's in it. You taste it, you smell it, you experience. There's no experience in this. There's no smell in this, if I'm not mistaken. You would have to snort you would have to snort the cheese to get any smell out of it. There is nothing in this that is even nutritional substance. So I guess you could say, do I have a cup of noodle faith? Or do I have a walk of faith that really has substance to it, that I've worked out? Now, I don't know, none of this is in order. This was kind of an order, but I'm sure there is an order how to do this and a recipe. And until you can write out the recipe, if someone was to ask you whatever your favorite dish or cuisine is or whatever, and you can say, it's easy to cook something when you open up your phone and you're like, okay, a quarter cup of, I don't know if I have that. Oh, it's not distilled vinegar, but it's apple cider. This will work. Vinegar's vinegar, right? Christians are Christians, right? Churches are churches, right? Do you really, when you really look at this concept, is, you see someone, and Casey and I do this. I want to tell you, one of the biggest fakes out there is to see someone with a car and think they're successful. I am honest. You can look at a BMW, a Mercedes, and that thing is shiny and black and got rims on it, and you open the door. Seats are ripped, headliner down, but when you look, hey, they got Mom and Dad, my boyfriend's got a BMW, but nobody wants to ride in it. It's got zip ties on it. You know what I'm talking about. The impression in the external looks so good. We have such a way of looking really good, but inside damaged, inside hurting, inside we don't like ourselves. We don't like the way we look. We're hurting. We're depressed. We're discouraged, and we just keep this facade and being an imposter up all the time. So we're going to look at number 14 today. Ethics of reciprocity. Now that sounds like, I know, that word right there sounds like, ooh, this doesn't sound real good. But I want you to think of the title of this for a moment. Because the reason the title is this, because I like to be, when you're really good at something or you learn to do something, it doesn't matter the terminology you use, you know what it means. Okay? So, as I say, let's say this together. It is my duty. It is my responsibility. It is my obligation to be successful. Children, teenagers, or if you're grown, it is a duty and obligation and responsibility. I promise you, your parents want you to be successful. They want you to have a successful marriage. They want you to have a successful family. And everything you do will really be fruit of your success at some level. I want, as a leader, I want people that fall under the title of Christian. I want you to be a successful Christian. Because I can tell you, I was a very good, successful heathen. I was very good. When I did alcohol, we emptied the bottles. When we smoked, we smoked. When we partied, we partied. I mean, you're all in on this. And I just find so many people, they never go all in. So let's read this scripture. We'll only think about this. You'll only read this about one more time after this Sunday, and then you'll have to go on your own to read it. Joshua 1:2. Prepare. That word prepare. Your whole life is about preparation. Your whole life is about preparing. You're preparing for that moment. You're preparing for that recital. You're preparing for someone to hand you the mic. You're preparing for that interaction with that person. You're preparing to. You never know who you're meeting at that moment. That can be a life-changing moment for you. Preparing to cross the Jordan River, flooded river. Cross to the country I'm giving the sons of God. I'm giving you every square inch of the land you set your foot. God has made you have the potential to have everything you want if you believe that. I'm giving you every square inch you set your foot on. Just as I promised, it's all yours. All the earth is yours. Everything on the earth is yours. Don't think that everything on the earth belongs to Musk. Don't think that everything on the earth belongs to Gates. Don't think that everything on earth belongs to someone else, Taylor. Just everything revolves to you if you so want it. It's available if you know the keys to success. No one will be able to hold out against you. In the same way I was with Jesus, I'll be with you. Yesterday in the run, a 14-year-old kid ran that 5K in 14 minutes. I could never do that. Yes, you could. You absolutely could. If you want to train and work for it, you could. Well, you don't believe you can. Your limiting belief says you can. I guarantee you can run it in 16 minutes. I can tell you I could run it in 16 minutes. I couldn't today. But if I set my mind to it, I could do it. I promise you I could. I would bet you money. And if you had a high enough money, if you wanted to put like 6 figures in 7, I would bet you, and I promise you I could do it. If you bet me $500,000, I would work 8 hours a day in training. I promise you. Listen to me. I promise you I would run the 5K in 16 minutes. I promise you. I promise you I can do it. Now, tall guy here, he could not have to work as hard as I would. He may only have to do 2 hours. I may have to do 6 hours. I have a little bit more challenges and a little bit more limitations, but we have the same mind. It depends on if you believe you can and how bad you want it. The issue is most people don't want it bad enough. They would rather have, you don't want to spend the time and the money and the resources for this because this isn't your value, this is your value. I would rather spend my money at Starbucks than have a pan of mac and cheese. So 5 going to 80, how many times? 16 times. You just rather have 16 Starbucks Frappuccinos versus this mac and cheese. It's just a priority issue. Strength and courage, you're going to lead the people to inherit the land that I promised to give the ends. Give it everything you got. This is the enthusiasm. This is your commitment. This is your devotion. Give it everything you got. Every now and then I like to watch little clips on TikTok or whatever of people that go on, America Got Talent? And they're dancers or they're singers and they're just so good. Do you know how much time they spend doing that? That's all they do. I could never be that good. Yes, you could be. To some degree. Some people do have more natural inclinations toward that. But there's a lot of people that have natural inclinations to it but never get anywhere. Make sure you carry out the revelation that God commanded you, every bit of it. Don't get off track, either left or right. So make sure you get to where you're going and possess overwhelming success in everything you undertake. And don't for a minute let this book, let me pause for a minute, the 5K yesterday. Well, two ways to look at it. The guy they had, if I'm not mistaken, they had the company that was the overseeing of the race. That was their niche, their wheelhouse. They had someone on a bike that was in front guiding people through it. Okay? The guy that ran this thing in 16 minutes, he was in front of the bike. I wouldn't be on the bike. If someone's in front of me, I'm riding the bike and you in front of me, get off the bike. That looks bad. That really looks bad. Now, maybe he was getting up to it and he was backing off. We could look at it that way. But this guy was pacing the bike. He was pacing the bike. And I'm like, this is not good. With the runner is pacing the bike instead of the bike pacing the runner. Anyway, this is a side note. And there was no rest of the pack. It was 8 minutes later. 8 minutes later is when the next ones come in. There was no rest of the pack. He could have went and got him a drink and... Anyway, don't get off track. Either left or right. So make sure you get to where you're going and possess overwhelming success in everything you undertake. If I could tell you, it is your parents, it is God's goal for you to be successful in everything you undertake. Diane asked me, or we were talking the other day, or someone was saying something to me. Someone asked me, and it was at a place, I dropped something off. And this is what they said to me. They said, "Are you good at everything you do?" That's what they asked me. I said, "Let me tell you, I do what I'm good at." There's a difference. See, you try to do everything. And I don't do a whole lot that I'm not good at. I stay in my wheelhouse of knowing I've worked on stuff till I get good. And when I'm getting good at something, that's where I stay. I don't need to be doing your job. I pay someone to do your job. I want to stay where I'm good. And I do a lot, but I've learned to what I'm good at. That's my wheelhouse, and that's where I stay. That's my energy. That's everything works in that. Hello. But they really asked me, and that was the first time I ever been. They said, "Are you good at everything you do?" And I was like, "Everything you see me do, I'm good at." That's not bragging, but what I stay in what I'm good at, and that's an encouragement for you. I'm just not good at it. Well, either stop doing it in public and stay at home and get good at it, and stay in front of the mirror and get good at it until when you're in public, they say, "Wow, you're good at it." Yeah, I'm good at it. Remember what I told you. All you got to do is 18 minutes a day. 18 minutes a day for 1 year is 100 hours, and you will become good at something. It takes you out of the 95% of people that's not good into 5% of good. All you have to do is spend 18 minutes a day, and you can become good in any field. I may not be pro level, but I'm good. You don't have to be the best. You just need to be good. Ponder and meditate on it day and night. You need to be a good Christian. You need to be a good person. Ponder and meditate on it day and night, making sure you practice. See, practice makes you good. Practice. This Bible has got so much in it. Yours do too. Your Bible has the same as in my Bible. And then you'll get to where you're going. Then you will enjoy incredible prosperity and success. Haven't I command you strength and courage? You go have down days, disappointments, discouraged. Don't be timid. Don't get discouraged. Abba, your Papa, is with you every step you take. Jesus said to him, "What do you mean if? If you're able to believe it, that's self-confidence. If you can believe it, you can have it. If you can believe it, you can have it." So what do you think ethics of reciprocity is? Give me another name for that. And I put this in here so it would get you to think. That, and then we'll see what you know about this next term. This means the golden rule. So pause for a minute and tell me, let's just do this for a minute. Rania, what's the golden rule? I don't know. Roman, what's the golden rule? Shane, what's the golden rule? Okay. So this is always, I love bringing parents in it. So here's the question. The golden rule is not taught very much. I'm telling you, our kids don't know what the golden rule is. And parents immediately, kids, listen, look at me. You always feel like, oh, I'm on the spot. There is no spot for the golden rule. Because the golden rule is every moment of your life. The golden rule is the way you live. This is the breakdown in our society because the golden rule, why don't you get a tattoo that says the golden rule? It is one of these things that is so important, the golden rule. The golden rule is, say it again. Okay, so let's look at Matthew 7:12. Matthew 7:12. In everything you do. Okay, I need Haley. She always gives the best definition of everything. Best definition of everything. Every single one. In everything you do. In everything you do. In relationships. You know, if you did the golden rule in a relationship, you would never flirt or marry. You would never flirt or have an adultery. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The golden rule has built into it, if you follow it, it will answer everything in your life and you will be successful in every area of your life, just following the golden rule. In everything you do, in dance, in running, in finances, in relationships, in politics, man, that would be a good one. In everything you do, be careful to treat others in the same way you want them to treat you. For that is the essence, the essential core of, listen, this verse right here sums up the entire Bible. And this is one of the secrets. The golden rule. Everything you do, when you're walking in, do you want someone to hold the door open for you? In everything you do, treat each other. What does this mean? Have you ever been to a party or been somewhere and you got invited and you go and you know no one? And you feel like, I am so out of place, uncomfortable, whatever. The golden rule is, I have been in your spot. I have walked in your shoes. Therefore, I'm going to come speak to you and say, hi. Who do you know? How are you connected? Come hang with me. Man, you just made a friend. And they go leave the party and say, I met the nicest person, and you may not have said 5 words to that person, but you relieved the pressure and you treated someone as you would want to be treated. And I'm telling you, the church doesn't treat people the way they want to be treated. Christians don't treat people the way they want to be treated. Employees don't treat their employer the way they want to be treated. The employers don't treat the employees the way they want to be treated. Politicians doesn't treat people the way they want to be treated. This is a breakdown in society. Let me tell you what we should do. If you have Jesus, let's just use that in Christianity. Jesus would be the open door to everything. What do I need to do? All you have to do is, if you will just do the golden rule. you'll live a successful Christian life. Quit trying to be a Baptist. Quit trying to be an Episcopalian. Quit trying to be non-denominational. Quit trying to be holiness. Quit trying to be... Just quit all the labels and just say, I'm going to live the golden rule. Jesus treated people the way he wanted to be treated. That is the epitome of Christianity, or walking with or the good news. And this is why it is one of the secrets that if you and I learn to treat people the way we really want to be treated, it changes everything. The way you talk to people, the way you answer to people. I mean, just think about it. Everything you do, the golden rule should be this area. Our kids should know this. Your children should know it. And what will you say? Well, you know, all I'm saying to you is they know how to scroll. They know how to play Minecraft. Oh, look at the heads go. They know how to play games, but do they know how to treat people as the way they want to be treated? They know the recipe, they know the game, they know the ins, they know the outs of games. Do they know how to be successful? See, the golden rule is about treating other people with love and respect. It is about putting ourselves in other people's shoes. I don't know if you've watched over the past week or the past 4 or 5 days. I mean, the people in the mountain area are just struggling. I mean, just things have been destroyed and lost. And I mean, my heart goes out for that. From Florida all the way up. We'll talk about that at another time. But when you're in that situation, you want someone to help you. You want someone to comfort you. You want someone to grab a shovel and help you get mud out your driveway. You want to pick up debris and cut limbs. And I'm telling you, we've lost all that. That's bad. Let the government take care of it. Let FEMA take care of it. It's not FEMA's responsibility. It is our responsibility. As a neighbor, treat your neighbor as you would want to be treated. There is an eternal law through the operation of the golden rule. It's reap what you sow. The law of you reap what you sow is embedded in this golden rule concept. And when you and I operate in this I was just writing some things down. It comes out in your conduct, your relationships, your health, your finances, your agriculture, and life. Everything revolves sowing and reaping. You know, the Bible says if you judge someone, be careful because you go get judged the same way. That's the law of sowing and reaping. If you harsh on or if you're too harsh, it's going to come back to you. You and I are not exempt from this law working. You can't pervert it. You can't change it. You can't circumvent it. You can't get away from it. You can't substitute it. This law is in effect, and it will always come back to you. If you do not operate in the law, then you will operate in the law of retaliation. It's the opposite. So what makes the golden rule so unique? What makes it unique? One, if I operate in the golden rule, I will never be dishonest. If I operate in the golden rule, I will never operate in malice, hatred, unforgiveness, criticalness, selfishness, greed, envy, bigotry. It removes all these things when this becomes the force of how you and I live is by the golden rule. So what variety? So this is so key because when you're dealing with how we treat people, I want to tie a word into this, and the word is going to be integrity, but we're going to look at honesty. what type of honesty do you have? If you were to look at your honesty and say, what type of honesty do I possess? When you think of being honest, is your honesty depend on getting caught? Is your honesty, we need to come clean. We need to be in front of this. Talk to me for a minute. You ever know? We need to be in front of this. We don't need to let it come out and we're behind it. We need to be in front of it. So we want to come out and say, hey, you may hear something, but we just want you to know we're in front of it. But the question is, would you be in front of it if you did not think you were going to be caught? No, y'all, no. We really don't want to go down this road. We really don't want to go down this road because it really reveals. There has been times that I have bought things and I didn't tell Diane. And I would go there and I would say, hey, I'm feeling bad here. So what'd you do? Well, and it was fine. And then the other day, she came to me and she says, I didn't tell you everything. Now listen. How much of your honesty is based on, well, they'll never know. They will never know. If they don't ask, don't tell. If the police officer pulls me over and says, you know why I pulled you? Yes, sir, my cruise is set on 78. Did you have a hard time catching me? That's what I roll, 78. If you want to catch me, you're going to have to do 78 to catch me, or I'm going to keep right on rolling. Huh? And you had to go faster than me to catch me. I don't hit my brakes or anything. I own 78. That's my number. I'm not bragging on it. That's my number. Okay? But what I'm saying is how much of your honesty it comes from a place of integrity where you're honest with yourself, or you're honest because I'm going to lose something, or I'm going to lose a profit, or I'm going to lose some material gain, or I'm going to lose credibility, or it's going to be exposed. I'm going to be honest for damage control and not honest because inside of me it won't let me live this way. See, there's scrupulous. This word is such an honesty that at first it comes from, I'm honest with myself before I'm honest with you. I'm just saying, how many of us look in the mirror and say, I look good? You got to have some honesty in your honesty. You can love yourself, but you don't have to deceive yourself. You can like yourself, but you don't have to deceive yourself. So why is, if you look at this, I call it brand honesty and scrupulous honesty. It's when I really look at my honesty, you don't realize, or I don't realize how much I have to deal with my honesty so many times, because every day I'm dealing with honesty. You know, there's things that, Casey, we were talking about the other day at work. If I'm working on a car and something breaks, what level of honesty do I have? I have to evaluate where my honesty is in what I tell. Can you be too honest? I don't want to say you can be too honest, but there's some things you don't need to say. Well, I thought you said, well, you don't know whether that was broken before you got to it. There's a lot of things you don't know. People will have broken stuff and bring it in and let you discover it, and you pay for it. You got to be shrewd in your honesty. and know, here's a question. If something snaps or breaks, and I'm not talking about breaks or snaps, but if something breaks and snaps, do you tell everything? Well, this broke and this broke and this broke. But if you break it and fix it, is that dishonest, not telling them it broke and fixed? Is that dishonest? If you got to take it somewhere else and it's got to get fixed, but you can fix it, it's still got to get fixed. Is that dishonest? I mean, the word says don't let your right hand know what your left hand's doing. Is that dishonest? It just means you can talk too much. It means that you have to evaluate, am I being deceitful and deceptive and sneaky, and what's my motive of my dishonesty, or not wearing the T-shirt on everything? So why is this golden rule and living by this golden rule so important? Because this golden rule, this ethics, and this process is, everything comes from your thoughts. And catch this, this is called duality. Whatever you do in duality with your thoughts and actions, if it is honest, then you are building honest character. If you are dishonest, you're building a dishonest character. So you're working on two levels here in the conscious and subconscious, that you cannot have a strong character if you are dishonest and you lack integrity. So what's going on in your thinking is going on in your character. And that's why it is so important for this concept is to have good character. The Word says that you can be destroyed by hanging out with people with bad morals or bad character. See, there's a duplication going on. And if you want your children, and if you want to work on character defects and character areas, you first got to work on the integrity. Integrity is not, people say, well, I believe integrity is so important. No. The integrity is not important externally as much as it is internally. Let me tell you what is a dishonest internal integrity, is when you make a resolution and don't keep it. When you say, I'm going to do something and you don't do it. When you say, I'm going to do this and don't do it, or I'm going to go there, or I'll be here. That is an integrity issue because you're not being honest with you first. Everybody's going to know the dishonesty. And we say, traffic, or this. But really, it is a dishonesty to you. And until you have integrity about your choices, you will never have great external integrity. This is so key in these secrets is, see, our character is a sum total of our thoughts and acts. You don't get to have good character and poor thinking. You don't get to have good character and unpredictable actions. I'm one who loves adventure, but you need to have predictable behavior. And for some people, they don't like the predictable behavior. So positive thoughts develop a dynamic personality. Negative thoughts develop fruitless and a fruitless personality and an ineffective. So negative thoughts, depression, discouragement, lack of self-confidence, all these negative thoughts, you cannot. Have you ever met a dynamic personality person that was a depressive person? Have you ever met a dynamic personality when you couldn't believe anything they say? Have you ever met a dynamic personality that drama lived around them? Have you ever met a dynamic personality where they were never following the golden rule of treating others the way they want to be treated? You cannot have this dynamic personality when you don't treat others the way you want to be treated. The positive thoughts develop a dynamic personality. Negative thoughts develop an ineffective or fruitless or opposite personality of a dynamic personality. Check this out. Our reputation. How many of you like your reputation? You like your reputation? Check this out. You have nothing to do with your reputation. Your reputation is what other people decide about you. Your character is all about you. See, we want people to have a good reputation. Why don't people like me? Why don't people have a good reputation? Why do people say things about me? Well, if you are a person of drama, they're not going to say good things about you. If you're a person that has negative emotions and you're whining and complaining and you're a victim and everybody's out and it's this and that and you're always the boss and I can't stand this and that's the teacher's pet. You can't have a dynamic personality and a reputation that precedes you when you're full of negative talk, negative emotions, negative drama, and negative. It follows you and you create negative karma, if I could use that word, or negative vibes, if we can use that word, or negative energy, if we can use that word and not be a cult or new. But you do. You listen. Positive energy, positive is an energy, and negative is an energy. If you look at the lights, there's a positive and a neutral. Your car battery has a positive and neutral. So the question is, you need to be grounded, but you need to be positive. Parents, it's your role to ground your children, but teach them to have a positive mental attitude. See, our reputation is made by others. My character is going to help people come up with a reputation. The golden rule, they always are thinking. I mean, honestly, if you just pause here, did you come into the building this morning, the church this morning, the room this morning and say, I'm going to go in here and today I'm looking to see how I can help people, how I can speak to people, how I can encourage people? Or did you come in and say, so-and-so hadn't spoke to me today. I'm telling you, there's more people, I don't like to say that, there's a lot of people that produce negative energy and don't know they produce negative energy. And positive people, you ever put positive and negative together? Have you ever taken the hot wire and the wires that go to your light and accidentally hit them? Sparks happen. Positive people and negative people create sparks. They clash. You ever leave people and you're just like, I'm so drained. Okay, 1 Timothy. Let's look at this. 1 Timothy, let's look at a couple of scriptures here, if y'all don't mind. 1 Timothy 3, 1 through 7. Y'all ready? If any of you, what's any of you mean, Haley? Every single one. If any of you, now let's do this and let's scratch out some things because this is wordage you will think, well, that doesn't apply to me. Okay? If any of you aspires to be, this says overseer, scratch that out and put leader. Okay? And then it says in the church. This is about leadership in the church, but scratch out church and just put in my family, in my job, in life. If any of you aspires to be a leader in my dance team, a leader in my job at McDonald's, a leader at the hospital, a leader in my school, a leader at UNCW, if any of you desire or aspires, it means do you want to be a leader, you have to set your heart toward a noble ambition. For the word is true. Yet an elder, leader, scratch that out so you're not thinking it doesn't apply to you and me. Yet a leader needs to be one who is without blame before others. He should be one whose heart is for his wife alone and not another woman, or not another man, or not a young girl, or not a young man. We got to break it all down. Nowadays, nowadays we got to break. Let's back this up. An elder, this didn't say man or woman. So a woman needs to be one who is without blame before others. She should be one whose heart is for her husband and not another woman. He, she, let's use pronouns. He, she, them, they. First time I've get to use pronouns here. He, she, them, they should be recognized as one who is sensible and well behaved and living a disciplined life. Right there. This is not for leaders. This is for every single person. For us, you should always be aspiring to be a leader. You want to aspire. That if you don't have any aspirations, you probably need to go see someone because something's wrong. You have no desire to be good at anything, no desire to be successful, no desire to win. You just, whatever happens, whatever comes my way, comes. No, that's not normal. He, she, them, they should be recognized as one who is sensible, well-behaved, and living a disciplined life. He, she, them, they should be a spiritual leader who has the gift of teaching. Why is this so important? Let me break this down for you. Teaching, this is so good. You want to get this. Why is teaching so important here? You're not living what you think you're living until you can teach it. You don't know the recipe until you can teach it. When you live it, it's like Brooklyn and Rania are both dancers. I think you girls are dancers too, aren't you? Well, they're both dancers, and they're moving up, and they get awards. But you know what? It doesn't mean they can teach it. It doesn't mean they can teach it. If you say, okay, Brooklyn, come up here, and you're going to teach the class today. I mean, how do you teach everybody in the class the process? That's very difficult. You got to communicate it. You got to form. You got to know all these things to be able to teach it. The reason most people are not very good with their walk with God is because they've never spent enough time to be able to teach it. What you're living, you should be able to teach. Not talk about it. Teach it. Let me show you how to do this. Let me show you how to live it. That's so good. He should be a spiritual leader, or she should be a spiritual leader who has the gift of teaching others and is known for their hospitality. That's the golden rule right there. Let's keep going. He cannot be a drunkard. He didn't say you couldn't drink wine or you couldn't have a social drink. He said you can't be all tipsy and sloshing around, or someone who lashes out at others, or argumentative, or someone who simply craves more money, but instead is recognized by their gentleness. Their heart should be set on guiding his household, guiding your work, guiding your family, or what are you guiding? Are you guiding your friends or following your friends? When you go to someone's house, are you a follower or a leader? I never step out of the role of leading. I'm not trying to lead your house, but if it gets where it's going, I'm like, hey, guys, you have a good night. I'm out of here. I'm not going to follow down a path I don't want to go. His household is wisdom and dignity, not stupidity and foolery. bringing up his children to worship with devotion and purity. For he is unable to properly lead his own household well, how can he properly lead anybody else? That's integrity again. He should not be a new disciple who would be vulnerable to living in the clouds of conceit and fall into pride, making him easy prey for Satan. He should be respected by those who are unbelievers. Unbelievers. It's one thing to be respected by your family or people in your church, but does the people that don't know you respect you? Having a beautiful testimony, a beautiful reputation, a beautiful personality among them so that he will not fall into traps of Satan and be disgraced. Is that not good? Go to the next scripture there. Titus 1, 6 and 7. I think it's in the Message. It's going to do all of it from verse 1. Is this helping you? Yes. It's helping me. It's coming. It's on a commercial break. This is just a time to pause. Take a deep breath. Well, let me read this quote while this comes up. You have the quote. Hold yourself responsible for a higher standard than anyone else expects of you. That's good. Do you have a higher standard for yourself above anybody else? Never excuse yourself. Never excuse yourself. Never pity yourself. Never pity yourself. Be a hard master to yourself and be lenient toward everyone else. Your goal is the highest. You're the standard maker. You're the standard bearer. Can we back up to verse 1 there? Is that Message? There we go. Are we in Titus 1? Okay. Message Bible? Okay. Paul, I'm a God's slave. We just jump through this. Christ's agent from promoting the faith among God's chosen people. Getting out the accurate. That was thinking. That was one of your things. Accurate word of God and how to respond rightly to it. My aim is to raise hopes by pointing the way to life without end. This is the life God promised long ago, and he doesn't break promises. And then, when the time was right, he went public with this truth. I've been entrusted to proclaim this message by order of my Savior, God himself, dear Titus, legitimate son, that's a good word, receive everything God the Father has. I left you in charge. You are in charge. You're in charge of your family. You're in charge of your life. You're in charge of your reputation, your character. You're in charge of everything about you. You're in charge of it. No one's in charge of you. You're in charge of yourself. Could complete what I left half done. Appoint leaders in every town according to my instructions. As you select them, ask, is this man well thought of? Are you well thought of? This isn't something for the church. Are you a person that is well thought of in your neighborhood? Are you a person that is well thought of in your HOA, in your workplace? Are you well thought of? Is he, she committed to his spouse? Are his children believers? Do they respect him and stay out of trouble? You know, parents say, well, there's nothing I can do. Nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. It's important that a leader responsible for the affairs in his house, God's house, at work. This is important. When I am hired as a job, I am responsible for what goes on in this job. If people are stealing, I'm responsible. Well, I'm not getting involved. You're not a leader. If you see things going on in any place and you're part of that, your integrity is, well, I don't want to be a snitch. You don't have integrity. Listen to what it says. Do they respect him and stay out of trouble? It's important that a leader responsible for the affairs in God's house or in work or in school be looked up to, not pushy, not short-tempered, not drunk, not a bully, not money hungry. He must welcome people, be helpful, wise, fair, reverent, have a good grip on himself or herself, and have a good grip on the message, knowing how to use truth, either spur. Keep going. We missed one on that. That's why I wanted to go back. I got small. Can you go to the King James Version on 6 and 7? It came up initially on verse 6, and then it backed out. I want to show you a word here. And then the word is reproach. It says that we are to be above reproach. Are you and I, are we above reproach? Is there any area that have you ever get around people and your talk goes south? When they start talking a certain way, you just join right in. You get right in the midst of the talk, whatever it's about. That is not a leader, and that is not integrity. Just because the conversation is drama or the conversation is whatever, you have to say, I will not participate in this type of communication. You should never, ever, I should never, ever talk about your boss. Never. Zero. Ever. You should never talk about your pastor or your praise and worship team. Does that mean there may be things you don't understand or dislike? First, you go to them and say, I don't understand. But once you engage in talking about your instructor and you engage in talking about people in charge, you have moved into a place that lacks integrity. It's better to not say anything. I think that's pretty good myself. Listen to this. Each time we compromise, each time we take the easy way or behave in a manner inconsistent with what we know to be right, you weaken your character and soften your personality. You weaken your character and soften your personality. The key value, and this is good, we're almost done here. The key value, what do you think the key value that determines your depth and strength of your character? What word would you give? Integrity. What gives strength and depth to your character is your integrity. Because your integrity first to you must be before it's anybody else. Integrity is living in complete truth with yourself. You got to live in truth with yourself. If you know what you believe and know what you're supposed to be doing and know who you are, and you start compromising that because you start compromising your values and your purpose and your definite chief aim and all these things, you will begin to destroy your character and hurt your reputation, and you will never be what you want to be. So the psychology of character involves three parts of our personality. This is very easy. The first one is self-ideal. I know it sounds a little technical, but these are things we all should know. Self-ideal. This means your mind's values, virtues, ideas, goals, and aspiration. You need clarity on who you are and what you are. Self-ideal. That means I know who I am. I know my values. I know my virtues. I know what I believe. I know what I don't believe. When people ask you a question and say, do you think this is right or wrong? Okay, let's use this for example. This is just an example, good or bad. I think we talked about it before. The Ten Commandments, we know what the Ten Commandments are. One says, do not murder. Define that. Someone wants to define do not murder. Don't take another life. Do not take another life. Do you believe it is okay to murder? You don't have to answer. Do you think it's okay to murder? Okay. So, what do you think about when people go to war and kill other people? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying you said you don't believe it's okay to murder. Okay? So, I'm 16 years old and I'm pregnant. I'm going to get an abortion. Is that murder? You don't have to answer it. But is it okay to kill? You got to know what you believe. I know your life may be messed up. I know your dreams may be messed up. I know all kinds of things. But are you saying that there are times to murder and it's okay and times not to murder? You have to answer. I don't know. Let's just talk for a minute. Please don't answer anything. Do you think it's okay? Do you think the Bible says anything about open borders? Y'all gonna think I'm political, but I'm not. I'm not going into it. Do you think, with all the immigrants coming across the border, do you think God has anything to say about that? I don't know. The Bible talks clearly about borders and boundaries. What about transgenderism? Do you think, I read the other day how many children that's between Shane's age and Ranya's age. They're eating mac and cheese, microwaving it, and they know whether they want to be a woman or not, or a man or not, and we are giving them medications and come on. We got to know what we believe. Self-ideal, it doesn't mean you can't make evolutionary changes as you gain more information, but you know right from wrong. You know, you have a basic instinct of right and wrong. You know when you lie whether you lied. You know. You know when you got to ask a question and you spun it. You know when you avoided it. You know when everything you do, you know when that's right or wrong. You know when you were told to eat all your food and you smashed it all up, moved it all around, and hid it under other parts of your plate and then dumped it in the trash. You eat it all, yes. You know, in your mind, you know right then you lie. You know. You know. You compromise. Do you see how you compromise that? How honest are we? No, I did not eat it all. What are you going to do about it? Next, self-image. Why is self-image so important? This is your inner mirror. This is your mirror. Have you ever taken a mirror and really looked at who you are inside? No. Everybody in this room, you have had thoughts all through the last hour about things that I've said. I don't agree with that. Oh, no, that's weird. That's weird. Why is he saying that? That's weird. You have all your belief systems is coming out. You have all those thoughts. That's your inner mirror of who you are. I don't like this little room. The music's too loud. This is what's for lunch? You're just constantly in this dialogue. You have a lot of personalities going on inside of you. You have literally been talking to someone else besides listening to me. You have a personality. You have roommates in your head, and you don't want to admit it. This inner mirror, it's how we see and think about ourselves. You sit in this room and say, "Oh, I'm skinnier than that person. I'm better looking than that person. I've dressed better than that person." You do. We don't admit this, but we all sit around and we have this inner mirror that we are gauging things. And the last one, self-esteem. How you feel about yourself. How much of you do you like? How much of you do you like? And I just want to be honest here, that we can develop things. Whatever I believe next week, I tell you what, next week's the last one. It's the last secret, and it is about health. You cannot fulfill life without being in good health. You don't have to be a runner. You don't have to be a power lifter. You don't have to do it. But you have to care about your health. It is, and how you get there. But you know what we've done in society? In society, we have now created the plus more magazines where you can be completely 300 pounds and it's acceptable. I want to tell you, that's not acceptable. That is not personal. But you cannot say that being obese or being overweight or being anorexic is healthy, and if that's what you want, you will pay consequences for that. You will have knee problems and hip problems. You cannot carry 1.5 and 2 people around and it not affect you. Listen to this is what I'm telling you. I'm saying this in love, but listen to what I'm saying. What you fail to give attention to now will demand all your attention when you get older. If you fail to maintain your yard, it will demand all your attention later on to get it in control. If you fail to do maintenance on your house, later on it will require tens and thousands of dollars and people to come in and paint and remove rot. And whatever you and I fail to give attention to, at some point will require all of your attention. If there's one thing that I have diligently asked people in my business is when they get 70, 80, and older, what is one thing you wish you would have done? They said, I wish I would have paid more attention to my health. And for those who are in their 70s and 80s in good health and spry, so to speak, I said, what do you contribute your cognitive thinking and your all this to? They said, I exercise 3 and 4 days a week. They said, it's not how much. It said, I just do something. Physical exercise and proper eating and proper sleep is essential to my success and your success. I'm sorry, I don't care if you like it or not. I'm in love. I'm telling you, it will demand and it will put stress on your life when you get older. And I want to say this. The church as a whole should have done something a long time ago about having choirs and preachers and leaders that rant and rave over sin and things, and they're overweight and can't talk 5 minutes without breathing heavy and over. That is wrong. It is out of order. You can't focus on the spirit and not deal with your own physical. It can't be. It's wrong. And I'm saying that's an indictment. You make him sing good. You make him preach good. You make him play an instrument good. But you have a responsibility to be above reproach. And not people criticize and make fun and laugh at. And I hope I said that right. I am saying to you, we all have a responsibility to have a high standard for ourselves. Okay, does that make sense? So today was the golden rule. Next week is the last one, 16. You've already got, this is really 15 because mastermind group was 1. Once you got through 3, you were supposed to call. But we'll talk about that. But next week is the last one, but we're going to finalize this. So this is what I want to pray over you. I want to pray.
Can I clarify something?
Oh, yes. She wants to clarify.
Just so rumors don't get started when you talk about me being dishonest. I have to let you know what it was.
You're right now. You're right now.
I got to let you know it wasn't really bad. I did I just did, anything absent of the truth is a lie. So I guess it was a lie. I told him when I was in the mountains alone, and he was here, I told him that I fell asleep by the creek and woke up and went home. But I did not tell him that I was way up the mountain and that when I woke up, I was very fatigued. I had something going on, don't know what it was, but I was very, very fatigued and I've gone to the doctor about it. But I was way up the mountain, almost 30 minutes or more up the mountain that it took me to walk up there because I tried to walk it every day. The dogs were back at the house. When I woke up, it was pitch black. I had no flashlight, no nothing, no anything to get back down. I couldn't even see the path in front of me. But I managed to get back, and once I got to where I could see the porch light, which was a good trek, and it took me a minute. Anyway, I told him I just fell asleep by the creek, but I really, in all honesty, went up